Okay. Good morning, everybody. Look at all the people who are here. Merry Christmas to everybody. And this is December 20th, 2016. This will be our last board meeting of the year, and I'd like to call it to order. And is there any additional issues to the agenda?
There's no additional items for the agenda. However, I do need to let you know that Supervisor Rogers will be attending via teleconference from 16858 North Perimeter Drive in Scottsdale, Arizona.
And he has the agenda behind him, so we know that it's all legal. Right?
And the agenda has been posted, yes, sir.
Good. Very good. Okay. Would you read the items into closed session?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Good morning. 3 items on this morning's closed session agenda. Item number 1, request for closed session conference with labor negotiators pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.6. County negotiators, Deputy CAO Adrian Caleb and Ken Caves. Employee organizations up for discussion are all units. Item number 2, request for closed session public employment pursuant to Government Code Section 54957. The title of the position is the Veteran Services Officer. And the third item is real property negotiations, conference with real property negotiator pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.8. Agency negotiator is CAO Eric Fleming. Under negotiation, price, terms, conditions of sale and exchange for lease, and the various APN numbers are listed on the agenda. That's it.
Thank you. Let's go to closed session. Hey, good morning, everybody. This wonderful day of December, what is today anyway? I don't even remember. Oh, 20th, okay. Welcome and Merry Christmas to everybody. Thank you for coming. And County Council, do we have anything to report?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. 3 items on this morning's closed session. No action was taken in closed session by the board. They received an update and provided direction, and that was it.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Moving on. Regular session. Thank you, David. Okay, invocation. Who do we have for the invocation this morning? Pastor Leach. Is he here? I don't see Pastor Leach. Okay. Well, David, would you like to do the invocation, please, on the phone? And then we'll have the flag salute. Who would want to do the flag salute? How about Rick Dupree? Flag salute? Okay. And then we'll talk about the people that passed away. Please stand. Dave, invocation.
Okay, let's bow our heads and thank the Lord. God, our Father, we're so grateful today to be gathered in various parts of the country, and especially in Madera today, our home county. And we thank you for your blessings upon our people and upon our land. We thank you for this great rain that we've had, and we pray your continued bounty as you pour out the blessing of water upon our productive soil. And we just want to thank you for your wisdom and guidance. We ask for your wisdom in our deliberations, that we might always do what is right and good for the people of our community. We ask for those young men and women on foreign fields of battle, that they might be blessed and they might lift them up in their spirit. We just thank you for their service, and we thank you for the flag that waves on high as a beacon of hope for the whole world to see, a symbol of liberty that continues to bless the world. And we just thank you for those young men and women who have striven for that banner. And we are grateful as we go through this day to remind all that every good gift and every perfect gift comes from you. And we thank you for this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Dave. Would anybody like to remember our remembrance up here, our members that have died from the last 2 weeks? Tom?
Yeah, thank you. First of all, Gary Walker here is Bonnie Hale's son-in-law. She was brutally murdered this weekend by a worthless piece of something from been in prison and everything else, and where she come from, I don't know, but it's just a shame. Such a beautiful lady, friendly lady, smiled all the time, and she's been in every group, I think, organization in the mountains in North Fork, and raised beautiful kids, and it's just a shame that this stuff has to happen up there, any place, even down here. I mean, it's just it's unbelievable. And then Shelby Veeder, I don't know what happened to her. She's very, very young. The whole Veeder family is just one great family up there. Been there for 100 years too, and it's just a shame that she's passed away at such a young age. Thank you very much.
Candy Smith, just a wonderful woman, has a lot of family around here. Just she's going to be sorely missed here in our community. She was always involved in so many different things, and then Philip Bernal was a good friend. His wife was Norma Bernal from Madera County Office of Education, and she just retired, and cancer took him a week after she retired. Just a shame. They were just such wonderful people. So my heart goes out to Norma right now. And then Betty Page, I lived out in the ranchos. I think if you remember a few months ago, the young gal that came and sang the national anthem here, that was her grandmother. And again, cancer, and we have to do whatever we can to find a cure. And but she was just a wonderful lady, and my thoughts and prayers go out to the Page and Wrights family for them as well.
Thank you. I'd like to say ditto what Brett said about Candy Smith, good friend. Her organization worked really hard on the gang intervention team that we built here, and worked real hard with Dennis and all the groups here. Went over to Jay's Chapel to see Howard, a good friend from high school, and Jay Smith, his brother was there, and he used to be my maintenance mechanic at Georgia Pacific, and then Cindy Smith, his wife, used to work for me at Georgia Pacific and at Newark. But just a wonderful family, and my kids grew up with Howard and Candy's kids, and she was a wonderful lady, and she did a lot for the community that people didn't even know that she did, and she's certainly going to be missed. So, Rick, anybody else would like to say anything about anybody? Okay. Rick, would you please slay the flag, sir?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay. Rhonda, number 4.
Public comment. The first 15 minutes of each regular session is set aside for members of the public to comment on any item within the jurisdiction of the board, but not appearing on the agenda. Items presented under public comment may not be discussed or acted upon by the board at this time. For items appearing on the agenda, the public is invited to comment at the time the item is called for consideration by the board. Any person addressing the board under public comment will be limited to a 3-minute presentation to ensure that all interested parties have an opportunity to speak. Any handouts to the board must be submitted to the chief clerk of the board for distribution to the supervisors. Anyone addressing the board needs to print their name clearly on the speaker sheet at the podium. Also, all persons addressing the board must state their name and county of residence for the record.
Okay, Rhonda, would you please set the timer on my scale? And Tom, would you want to say something first? Or?
Okay, yeah, I'll go ahead and say it. First of all, Ned, I got this jacket at the boot barn. Huh? Now you're starting to sound like John Anderson. Gosh, damn, I gave me a bad time about my 1950 tie. Dang. Anyway, I just wanted to announce that Madera County and the Yosemite Sequoia RC&D, which I'm the chairman of, the 4 counties, Mariposa, Madera, Fresno, and Tulare. We got 2 Sierra Nevada Conservancy grants from Madera County, one for $498,000 and the other for $488,000. And then we also got 3 or 4 of the SRA fees that we all pay into from Madera County, and one of them that the Yosemite Sequoia RC&D will be running is for $180,000. The other one's for $199,000, and then the county got also, I forgot what, $100 and something thousand to buy our excavator for our road department to get the trees off the roads and stuff. That's all the dead ones. So I just wanted to give a big hand to everybody that's helped put these together. So
very good. Anybody else from the board? Tracy?
Yeah, I'd like to.
Oh, just a minute. Dave?
Yeah, I wanted to just mention that this last week, my wife's first grade class from Crossroads Christian School visited the sheriff's station and presented many of our sworn officers and plainclothes officers with gift cards, and just to tell them how much they're appreciated. And it was just the children chose to do this instead of giving each other gifts. And I thought that was a very selfless and a great act. Demonstrate what should be done by members of our community. And it takes children sometimes just to do the the great things. And I thought that was just a wonderful display. We need to let our heroes, our officers, and our firefighters know how much we appreciate them, especially this time of year.
Thank you, Dave. Anybody else? Tracy?
Hi, good morning. Tracy Kennedy, Madera.
Just kidding.
I'm going to sign you in.
You already signed in, right?
I'm going to sign Brett in.
Yeah.
Madera County Treasurer Tax Collector. Anyway, just real quick, these are the tax stats from the first installment. Bottom line is $90 million, and that's a lot. And it's up from last year, of course, assessed values are up, so then collections are up. Probably the biggest news was the e-checks. The e-checks that we just put into play this year for free to the taxpayer. We ended up getting 1,200 and some odd payments through e-check system, which is wonderful because they automatically post to the system, so there's less handling for us. And it was over 2.2 million. And the other thing is, too, that we have now at the bottom, you'll see a call log. So you talk about Year of the Taxpayer. We've seen 1,600 of them came into the office, and another 2,300 of them called us. So that's a lot. And you'll see in hours that are dedicated to answering the phone calls. It takes almost a full-time person. Towards the end, the phone's ringing off the hook. And keep in mind, we only have 2 incoming phone lines, which we can't have any more until we have more people. So because you get 2 people at the counter, 2 answering the phone, and that's all we have. Anyway, one also shout out I'd like is to Doug Malikian, the security guard. In addition to our people, of course, who work very hard, Denise, Jimena, Kat, all of our staff, Cecilia, Caroline, Dawn, open mail, Cindy, I open mail, take customers, phone calls. Doug Malikian, he is, he comes into the office and he is situated in the office for the entire week of the collections, which we appreciate having that added level of security. So anyway, so thank you very much to Doug Malikian.
Thank you.
On that, on the last one, the calls, that November 50 hours, December, is that the hours that you put in on the phone?
Right. We have a call log, and it gives us how many calls and what their total amount of time was.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah. So, 50 hours worth of phone calls in November.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah. So, anyway.
Very good
Thank you.
information. Thank you.
Tracy, as far as the telephone calls, what are the questions they ask for?
How can I not pay it?
I don't know. Let Tracy answer.
Well, they want to know how they can pay it, if they can pay it online. They want to know what their amount is that they're paying. They want to know if they received a supplemental tax bill. They want us to explain a supplemental tax bill. That's all over the board. They want to, it could be anything. You get a tax bill, you don't understand it. Maybe you get a tax bill that's not in your name yet. Maybe you didn't get a tax bill. Maybe you just bought a piece of property and you haven't got a tax bill yet. So,
Maybe you just want someone to talk to.
yeah, maybe you think your tax amount is wrong. You get a bill and it's like it's $1,500. Well, I shouldn't have to pay $1,500. It's not worth that. So,
Any questions as far as combining the irrigation tax with the property tax?
we had some. We had a few, but not very many.
Is that
not
right?
very many.
So it's not too bad.
Not bad. It wasn't bad. In fact, they gave us a person, Jennifer, and she sat with us for a couple, 3 weeks at first, and she said her work was stacking up. So we said, well, go back to your office, and we have her hotline if we needed to call them. And it wasn't bad. It was not bad at all.
Most people will probably be, that's what I was going to ask, so you can, but I think most people will probably just like that it's consolidated, except for the ones that have like $300,000.
The big ones,
bill.
right. But even they didn't complain. In fact, we had a little thing every time somebody would call in and they would say MID or had a question, we would go ding, ding, ding. So,
You had a bell?
yeah, we had a little bell,
MID
cowbell. But,
Well, I'm glad that-
so it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad at all. I mean, we have enough calls on our own, of course.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
Okay?
This is one of the best reports you've given us since I've been on here.
I get this every single tax day.
Not like this. Not like this one.
Anybody else from the public?
Thank you, Tom.
Okay, bring it back to the board. Okay, consent calendar.
I got a couple of questions.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to announce a couple of corrections to the consent calendar.
Okay.
On item H, it's doc number 2462. It should read the designees to the rural county representatives of California. And on item T as in Tom, doc number 2345 should read consideration of approval of a resolution authorizing acceptance. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, consent calendar. Tom?
Yeah, thank you. First of all, I'd like to, I don't know, spank, I guess, the dog report. He puts out this stupid stuff that's totally lies and makes people just to believe what's happening here. They put under P, salary and fringe benefits for elected, classified, and unclassified. I'm hoping this is not a backdoor run to pay for a pay increase to the board, you know. It just irks me that he does this kind of stuff. And I got some more later ones on the agenda. So the item number J, I don't know if anybody's here from the police or the sheriff or the probation. We got that contract with Chowchilla and for two full-time officers. Why don't we do our own? Do we have we paying some for that money of our own officers to be on that gang force, or why do we pay Chowchilla to have two officers on that?
Good morning, Board. Rick Dupree, Probation Department. Yes, we pay for a district attorney, a probation officer, a sheriff's deputy, a Madera police officer, I believe.
One, or Madera police?
One. Chowchilla is the only entity besides probation that pays for more than one officer. They could not afford a second officer, an officer for both teams, the net and the gang. They got some funding, and so CCP agreed to fund the additional money needed to fund a full second officer.
This is under AB 109, right?
Correct.
Right, AB 109. So the 190-something thousand, that's not paying for everything for them? I mean, is that full wages, or are they paying?
They're paying for part of one of the two officers. I believe it's $36,000 and some change. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's the amount. And this is the maximum amount. This includes any overtime or any additional dollars. That way we don't have to come back to the board and ask for additional money.
Yeah.
It's like Madera PD. I think their contract's $142,000. I don't think
one
they ever
person?
spend for one person, but they don't ever spend more than $110,000. We just have additional dollars built into that contract, so if we need to purchase anything for that officer, we don't have to come back to the board and ask.
Oh, okay. So that's what the extra dollars are for then.
Correct. Some of it is for that, but some of it is funding a second officer. And like I said, they're the only other law enforcement agency besides probation that has more than one officer paid for through CCP.
Okay. Thank you. Let's see. Item. Okay. Well, I was going to say on that item P also, he wrote in here, I wrote down that he's writing information out to the public that he knows nothing about. He didn't do his homework and didn't read his thing. But in item U, how many, that would be you too, I think, Rick, wouldn't it, on the awards coming from Santa Cruz?
Yeah. Yes, for about.
How many do we average? We probably have to come up here. They can't hear you in the thing if we answer. How many awards do we get a month average? From
I would say we average no more than 2, maximum of 3 at any one time from Santa Cruz County.
Oh, okay.
It just all depends. It's, sometimes we may only have 1, sometimes we have 3.
And that,
so if I had to say an average, I would say 2.
And how long do they usually stay?
It's usually 4 to 6 months, depending on how well they do. The better they do, the quicker they get it released.
Okay. So they haven't got a facility over there for that, huh?
No, not a program like we have.
Oh, okay. Do we take any other awards from any other county?
I know we take them from Mariposa. That's all I can think of off the top of my head. We don't take as many as we used to. In the past, we used to take quite a few.
Yeah.
But juvenile incarceration rates have went down so much over the last few years, that people are finding alternatives to incarceration typically.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it's outstanding.
I think that's a tremendous compliment to our program and to our people that other people are willing to send their problem children to us.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, it's been amazing 4 years watching probation. I mean, it's just it was amazing how many kids were in juvenile hall 4 years ago and how many are in now. You guys have done an outstanding job, and it just shows because people want to send their troublemakers, and basically these people, Tom, just to let you know, the ones from Santa Cruz are the ones and different cause more problems than the ones from Madera.
I wouldn't doubt that at all.
Is that right? Because we had the last one. The last one from Santa Cruz was a big issue.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Remember that? But
yes.
Anyway, good job, and it's kind of neat that other counties want to send to Madera because they don't have room in their juvenile hall.
Oh, the programs that we have.
The programs don't work either.
Just a real quick interesting tidbit. We had 2 full institutions just 10 years ago, the boot camp and the juvenile hall. We've collapsed them both to one institution, and only 50 to 60% of the beds are occupied at any one time. So it's really kind of a benefit for everybody, actually.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rick. And your whole crew. That's all I have.
Okay. Anybody else? Anybody from the public? Gee, it's a big consent calendar. Come on now. Okay. Back to the board.
I move we approve item 5 of the consent calendar.
Yes, Scott.
Second.
Just real quick, Mr.
I was going to
Chairman.
put the corrections in there. I got stopped.
Yeah, there's a couple of additional corrections that the clerk didn't note that I didn't give her a heads up on. Item number C. There's
C? Like a
item
cat?
number C is the audit committees. Those resolutions were prepared in anticipation of going to the meeting on January 3rd. So you'll note just a technical correction. The name of the board members, we need to replace Farinelli with Poitras. The board resolutions that you see have Poitras' name, so we'll just technically correct that on the record. And then also on item 2, C2, we actually had misnumbered the number of the people on the committee. It's actually an 8-person committee rather than 7, so we'll note that correction as well. If you count, they're all listed. The committee members are listed, chairman pro tem, CAO, county council, but the number is listed as 7 rather than 8, but they're all listed correctly. So.
Okay. My motion to approve item 5 consent calendars with the corrections on H, T, C, 1, and 2.
And my second is with those corrections.
Thank you.
Okay, I have first from Tom, second from Dave. Call for the vote.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Farinelli?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Thank you. Okay, it's a regular session. Okay, 6A.
6A, County Administration Department, Human Resources Operations Division, and Sheriff's Coroner's Department. Discussion and consideration of approval to amend the classification plan by adding the class of senior deputy coroner and 1, set the salary for senior deputy coroner at range 250, $4,329 to $5,262 per month, $51,957 to $63,154 annually, $24.98 to $30.36 per hour. 2, designate the senior deputy coroner class as overtime eligible pursuant to the Fair Labor Standards Act. 3, allocate the senior deputy coroner class to the professional unit for bargaining purposes. 4, direct the Human Resources Operations Division of County Administration to amend the position allocation within the Sheriff's Office as follows, effective January 1st, 2017. A, eliminate 2 full-time positions allocated to the class of deputy sheriff. B, add 2 full-time employee positions and designate the allocations to the established class of deputy coroner. C, flexibly staff the existing 1 full-time employee position of deputy coroner with a newly established class of senior deputy coroner, 1 full-time employee senior deputy coroner or deputy coroner. D, add one full-time employee position and designate the allocation as flexibly staffed of the established classes of Program Assistant 1 or 2. 1, full-time employee Program Assistant 1 or Program Assistant 2.
Good morning, Board. Jay Varney, Madera County Sheriff. As part of your 2016-2017 budget, you approved 2 deputy sheriff positions effective January 1, 2017 to staff the new morgue facility. We requested that because those are obviously the most expensive folks that we have on board. In reviewing how we would like to staff the morgue, we would like to have it staffed with civilian deputy coroners. We've talked with a number of other counties who do this. If you're familiar with how we're staffed currently, the coroner function reports to Commander Ward, and the person who does the most work there right now is a civilian also. So we thought that it made the most sense to have civilians working for civilians, and since that function has been civilianized now for I think approximately 6 years, so it's worked out well. So we're asking you to change the allocation so that we can staff the facility when it's completed with a civilian senior deputy coroner, 2 civilian deputy coroners, and a program assistant or like staff person for administrative help. And there will be a minor savings over the course of the 6 months.
Thank you. Any questions from the board?
No. Thank you.
Any questions from the public?
Move to
Bring it back to the
approve.
board. Move to approve.
Second?
Have a first from Brett, second from Tom. Call for the vote.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Farinelli?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. Okay, 6B.
6B, Animal Services Department. Discussion and consideration of approval to appoint Elisa Bilios to the position of Animal Services Assistant at E-Step of salary range effective January 1st, 2017.
Hi, Kirsten Gross, Animal Services Director. Our employee, Elisa Bilios, has been 5 years with the department as an Animal Services Officer, extra help. And she is very much interested in more administrative responsibility and going to be an Animal Services Assistant as a permanent position. Any questions?
Thank you. Tom?
Yeah, a couple of questions. Why don't we move her up to the $17.80 an hour? Haven't we got a step that could cover that? I don't want to see nobody taking a cut in pay from extra help to being permanent. That don't make sense to me.
Well, it's a different position that pays less, but she's very willing to do that because she will receive the benefits associated with the permanent position that she does not receive at this time as an extra help.
She don't get benefits now?
No.
Not as an extra help, not like
That'll
the
cover
permanent
that
position.
dollar or whatever it is, dollar something?
Yeah, and that'll offset. I mean, yeah, she's
Way
taking
offset.
a loss in pay, but she's going to have it offset with benefits.
She's gaining much more.
How much will it be, Eric? I mean, it would be a good offset, or
Adrian, do you have the
or
figures?
Adrian? Yeah.
30% more.
And I can completely appreciate where you're coming from, Supervisor Wheeler. We do have a county code section that states that we cannot pay an employee above the E step of a particular salary range unless it's similar to this another item that you're going to see to compensate them for additional duties that's above and beyond the position that they are that they're performing.
So what's the? I mean, being on permanent and extra help, what's the difference in benefits and stuff? Is that a 30% increase?
So between 35 and 40 when you combine the retirement, the health insurance. It's probably between 35
So right
and 40.
now she pays her own health insurance?
No, we still pay on her behalf if she's eligible for the health insurance. I don't have that piece of information.
Kirsten, is she eligible for it right now?
I believe she was.
So she is getting that already too?
Full-time for 5 years.
And she probably likely is already part of the retirement plan. The difference is that there will be an increase because when you're extra help, the county pays retirement contributions based on the number of hours that you work. Now that she is full-time, she will get the contribution for the entire month. And then in addition, she's going to get paid time off, which she does not receive now at the level that she would receive as a
Like for
permanent
holidays
employee.
and things, you mean?
Correct.
If she's, like, if it's this Christmas, she wouldn't get paid for that extra help?
No. No, she would not for the
Can you
holidays.
just give me a write-up later? I don't need it now.
Sure.
Of what the difference is on the pay on that?
Sure.
So we can look at that when we do these kind of things?
Absolutely.
And then one other question, Kirsten. Do you send out notices when the licenses are due for our dogs?
Yes, we do.
Okay. I had a person say he didn't get a notice.
We get that on occasion. We do send out notices every month. Do send out notices every month to remind people, and we give them 60 days to take care of the licensing for their animal.
Okay.
Okay.
Just want to make sure we're doing that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else from the board? Out to the public? See none. Back to the board.
I move we approve item 6B.
Second. Have a first from Tom, second from Brett. Call for the vote.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez? Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Farinelli?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
6C.
6C, Board of Supervisors Department, District Number 3, discussion and consideration of entering into an amendment to MCC number 7662-C-2004, Memorandum of Understanding between the County of Madera and the North Fork Rancherita of Mono Indians.
Okay.
Good morning, supervisors.
Name and
Happy
rank.
holidays. It's good to be here again. It's been a long time. The tribe in 2004 entered into an agreement with the County of Madera to...
Your name and rank.
Your name and address. All that.
This is John Mayer. I represent the tribe, the North Fork Rancheria of Mono Indians. Back in 2004, we entered into an agreement with the county to mitigate impacts of the tribe's proposed project and to provide charitable giving in the county. The objective then and the objective now was to be able to provide jobs to local residents in Madera and in the surrounding region, and to provide economic development for this area. Obviously, the tribe's objective is to provide for its over 2,000 tribal citizens as provided for under federal law. The project, as we know, has undergone a lengthy environmental review, was approved by the Federal Department of the Interior, by the Governor of California. The land was placed in trust in 2013, but the project has faced extensive litigation. As a result, the project was going to be what will be built will be smaller than what was proposed in the environmental impact statement and approved by the federal government. It will be built in phases, so there will not be a hotel in the first phase, and the project itself will be a little bit smaller. So it's more akin to the reduced intensity alternative, and as a result, in the EIS, there was the expectation that the tribe and the county would come back together and negotiate an MOU that would reflect the smaller size of the agreement. We have met with the county administrator, county council, and gotten guidance from from the board, and have negotiated this agreement, which is the purpose is to spread out the payments over a longer period of time. When the tribe goes and invests in a project that is, could be $200 to $300 million, the cost of the money that it borrows is very expensive in the early years. And as a result, the tribe will see very few benefits from the project. And so what we've attempted to do is to spread out the payments a bit to and not impacting the essential mitigation payments for fire, police, those types of things. The road traffic improvements will all be built, prior to opening the facility. All those things are still in place, but what we have done is spread out some of the non-essential payments for charitable giving. The amounts still stay the same over the 20 years. They're just spread out over a longer period so that in those early years when interest rates are high for the tribe, there's less money going out for those payments. The agreement is just a first amendment to the MOU. It contains a schedule that shows how the payments will be made. There is, and the only issue I just wanted to raise with a couple points I wanted to make with the supervisors. One is, you probably have heard last week there was an adverse decision in the Court of Appeal, in the 5th District Court of Appeal in Fresno. What I wanted to let you know is that we will be appealing that decision. It's no surprise to the Supreme Court, the California Supreme Court. We think it was wrongly decided, and we are moving forward with the project. The decision, however, will delay our progress a bit, because it could affect financing. But we are moving ahead with the project. We wanted to let you know that. Have no intention in abandoning this, and would like to get this agreement, this memorandum done, because we put a lot of time and effort into this, and get this done now because we're going to have to get it done at some point.
Yeah, John, it's interesting the way you've changed or we've worked on the MOU to help you out there. What I see you're trying to do is exactly what Black Oak did in Tuolumne County. They built everything in phases. If this casino would have been built in 2007 like it was supposed to be, and everything would have been hunky-dory, and you'd have built the casino faster, and you'd have built the whole casino. But Black Oak Casino in Tuolumne had the same issues, right. And I know Black Oak is basically for this casino. But they started it in a triple wide in 2007, and now if you ever go to Black Oak Casino, it's one of the nicest casinos there is in the mountain area. Went from a triple wide to a 3-story casino with 5-star restaurants, and then a beautiful garage, and then a hotel, and then a gas station and a little mini market. So it's interesting, and I think you guys are really close with that tribe, and I think it's a good proposal with all the money that the tribe has had to spend on all these setbacks, and I'll say setbacks. I won't say what I'm really thinking, but it's very, very interesting. Thank you for working this out with the CAO and some of us on this board. So, CAO.
Oh, thank you, Chairman Farinelli. I just wanted to quickly state a couple things for the record. Your board oftentimes relies on me to negotiate agreements on behalf of the county, which was the case here, along with 2 of your board members. But a lot of the work behind the scenes was done between Scott Nielsen from Frittata Entertainment and myself, along with our attorneys, County Counsel, and John Mayer. One of the things that I had attempted to do early on, because this was a good size ask, and we want this project to be successful. But one of my initial thoughts is, well, there's got to be, I think there's something here that we can ask for in return that'll help and even provide more benefit for the local economy. So we started this discussion about using local contractors, local subcontractors, and we had a number of discussions. We asked specifically for some consideration for local contractors, subcontractors, and we kind of got it down to a point where, there wasn't a comfort level, because I think there's already an agreement, a project labor agreement in place for an out-of-town general contractor to construct this project. The argument had been presented to me along the way, well, if we open it to locals, how do we know that that's competitive? or if they're getting some edge. Well, I guess there isn't going to be any competition because it's already been awarded to Swinnerton. I guess from my perspective, if I just wanted to make sure that your board was aware that any language pertaining to local contractors or subcontractors has really no teeth. The project labor agreement is going to be what applies here, and I just don't see any guarantee, at least, that they're going to use any level of local contractors or subcontractors. So I want to make sure your board knew that.
John?
And thank you, Eric. One thing I would like to clarify, a couple of things I want to clarify. The tribe in 2005 entered into a project labor agreement with the local building trades. The tribe remains subject to that. In 2012, the unions contacted the tribe, and this was back when we were about ready to go into compact ratification. And they said, there's some recent decisions by the courts and the National Labor Relations Board indicating that a tribe could not enter into a PLA and be bound by that. So what they did is they asked they contacted Swinnerton, which is in Sacramento and right around the corner from where their state office is, the attorney's office, and asked them to become a party to that. The fact that Swinnerton is a party to the PLA in no way means that Swinnerton is the general contractor for the project. The project will still go out to bid, and Swinnerton was well aware of that, and we have an indemnity agreement between the tribe and Swinnerton that would provide that in the event that Swinnerton didn't get the project and somebody broke the PLA, that the tribe would indemnify that Swinnerton. So, and the other point I want to make is that the tribe has every intention and a strong economic incentive to use as many folks from the local workforce as possible. If the subcontractor can meet the schedule, has the capacity and the experience, they absolutely will get the job. It makes no sense for the tribe to bring in outside labor for those things. But I will say, however, that in some other projects, because of the really constrained construction schedule that these things are built on, if there is not adequate capacity and supply in the local market, there may be the need to bring in outside workers. But again, that's not the intent, and it's just we're going to do the best we can. But when you get a $200 to $300 million loan, you have a very limited period of time in which to get that thing built. And time is a lot of money to the banks who are loaning that giving you that money to borrow. So I just want to assure that this project has always been about local jobs, and in the MOU we have an agreement with the county to employ local workers as well. And that's in our agreement with the county. It's also in the agreement with the city. So we have that's always been the intent of the tribe, and I just want to assure the board that that's the intent. So what I would recommend is, everybody's made a really good faith effort to try to get the language right. The tribe has proposed language that we think is very clear. But it's long. We want to avoid any kind of potential dispute, because the last thing we want to do is get into a dispute with the county. We've had a strong working relationship for 10, 12, 14 years. That's the last thing we want to do. So ideally, what I would suggest is we just strike the language. We have the project labor agreement. It's in the EIS. There's evidence of that. We're bound by that agreement. So, and the labor pool that is Madera, Kings, Tulare, Fresno, and one other. So anyway,
Merced?
It is not Merced, but we,
That's okay. That's fine with me.
I'm sure that folks,
That's fine with me.
I'm sure that there's plenty of folks who live in Merced who would be, benefiting from it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to go to David on the phone.
Yes, I wanted to just state that while I don't disagree with us developing the MOU as long as there is a project, I want to just clarify that the 3rd District Court of Appeals in a majority decision has agreed that to the validity of the referendum, 61% voting in the state of California to oppose the project, and the fact that the compact is not in existence, and that the governor did not have concurrence to the compact. So there is no compact, and there is no right to game on that at this point on that property. So this is a little premature to amend this MOU. However, if the MOU is amended, I would like to state that we need to include provisions in there for CEQA, indemnifying the county in the event of a CEQA lawsuit as a result of ingress-egress CEQA, which will occur if we issue permits. If the county has any part in the project, we will have to be a party to a lawsuit, CEQA. So I wanted to ask County Council if we have included any provisions for that, and if we are indeed in a position to be indemnified, as we would be with any project under CEQA.
Norm, would you answer that?
Thank you.
David, you made a lot of paper shuffling go on.
Thank you, Chairman, members of the board. Just to address Supervisor Rogers' point, this is Norman Allender, the Planning Director. We have been working with the group on their off-site work and the analysis of so what they said is very accurate. They intend to construct the off-site improvements prior to opening day. In as much as those improvements would be approved by us, they may be subject to CEQA, so that there is a possibility that the off-site improvements have to be subjected to CEQA. Because of the fact that NEPA was completed and did analyze it, we would use the ability to tier, and I'm just being very technical right now, but the short answer is CEQA may be enacted for the off-site improvements. And so we have been in discussion with that.
So it's already in there.
Well, no. What I'm saying is that I don't. According to County Council, there is no discussion of CEQA. What would happen in the case of any legal challenges to any work we did, whether that was a CEQA action or an encroachment permit. We have to issue encroachment permits for the work as well, which encroachment permits are discretionary actions as well. So if that was a concern raised by Supervisor Rogers, I defer to County Council, but I will let you know as to what's in the agreement. But I'll let you know that we have been working with the tribe. They've been very forthcoming, and it's been very fruitful to get those things done. But yes, we do expect that we would have to issue a permit to the contractor. Again, the tribe is doing different things with the contractors. Will have to get certain permits for off-site work, not on-site. The on-site works, we don't have any jurisdiction or anything on on-site stuff.
Exactly, and you've made my point exactly, that as a result of county's work on this, for ingress and egress purposes, not for the site work, but the off-site work, we are therefore subject to CEQA, and as a result could be subject to a lawsuit under CEQA. And I would say that is something that is highly likely, and we would be foolish not to consider that option under an MOU. Further, I think that it's important to understand that as a result of this ruling, there is no compact, there is no right to game, and that the Secretary of Interior cannot grant the right even for third-class gaming on this facility. So this issue is far from settled, and I would say that we need to continue to look at it even more in depth than we have in this amendment.
Thank you, Chairman, members of the board. Again, this is Norman Allender to address Supervisor Rogers' point. So we in our discussions already with the traffic folks and the permits have had a discussion about indemnity. It's fully understood that between the parties and County Council can say that this agreement doesn't authorize all that work, and so the indemnification for us, it will be a part of our normal permit process. So in issuing an encroachment permit or any permit, we've already discussed, and we will insist, believe me, I, as your servant, is not going to allow the county to be liable. Neither would county council when we issue the permits. So we will have our standard indemnification agreement. Supervisor Roger makes a very good point, but we are addressing it. It doesn't have to be in this MOU, but I can assure you it has been addressed, and we will not put the county in risk of accepting any kind of CEQA cost.
And who would that be with? Would that be with the contractor who takes on the project, or is it with the tribe?
Or both. I think it would be for any parties. In other words, and I'll defer to county council, actually.
Yeah, it could. Hey, this is the second time you've been called a lawyer today.
Norm, you're a great lawyer.
County? Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, depending on what the entitlement is, it could be with the contractor for an encroachment permit, or it could be with the project applicant. Again, depending on what the entitlement is, but we will try and make it with as many parties as possible.
At all.
Yeah. Correct.
Okay.
Everybody involved in the project.
Yeah.
Tom?
Yeah, so this has nothing to do with this compact, right? Those permits and all that. This has nothing to do with that.
That's correct, Mr. Supervisor, and that's what we were double checking. We were going back to the original MOU signed in 2004 just to see if there was any reference to CEQA and NEPA and all that stuff for the overall project. But again, we're talking about off-site work that the county would
exactly totally different from what this MOU is.
Yeah, those would
right. I wanted to make sure that we were covered on that, though.
Okay,
yeah,
this
those
is totally
different
different.
as they come.
Shouldn't even be discussing it on this one. Anyway, all I know is that the tribe has always used local contractors and everything they have done, whether it's been down here or up there, all the work in houses and commercial buildings and stuff they've built all over up there. And so on item 20 on this MOU, I just talked to Gary, and he took it back down there. And all I wanted to do is it says local contract preference. The MOU shall be amended to add Section 26, which will be entitled Local Contractor Preference, and shall read in its entirety as follows. Make reasonable efforts to use local contractors and labor as much and whenever possible, period. Is that okay, Mr. County Council?
I'm sorry, Mr. Supervisor, if you repeat the question.
Please pay attention
Discussions with
to what's going on here on the board.
Thank you. Double checking.
Number 20.
Yes.
It's going to read the first,
yes,
the first paragraph, and then the next sentence. Make reasonable efforts to use local contractors and labor as much and whenever possible, period. Is there anything wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong with that. It's not going to be a do or die. It's not a do or die provision. If they don't use it, they're not absolutely legally required to use local contractors.
They've got these contracts all with the unions and everything else, and the unions have been very supportive of it. They went up to Sacramento, Washington, everything, helping us realizing that there's going to be a lot of jobs here for our local people. So open up the public, and I'm ready to make that motion.
Brett?
Yeah. I understand Supervisor Rogers' fear of going into this with the decision and all, but I know me personally, I've been uncomfortable without having an MOU once the MOU went out of force, and I know what it's been like when we're trying to negotiate an MOU when there's no reason to move forward with that. I appreciate the tribe coming forward right now to negotiate this MOU. If this becomes a project and we don't have an MOU, we're stuck.
Where we are at the other one.
We're absolutely stuck, and I think,
right, I agree.
I think that's not us taking care of the residents here and having an understanding with the tribe of what's going to happen. We have to make sure that law enforcement is still taken care of and the fire is still taken care of. These are things that we have to do outside of whatever our political leaning is on this. We have to make sure that the area is mitigated for all of these impacts. And so I appreciate the tribe coming forward right now and doing this and still investing and making sure that we have a good working relationship between the county and the tribe. So thank you. But I know I've been very uncomfortable not having one. As soon as it was gone, it keeps me up at night sometimes. Not all the time. Sometimes I think it's... but I think this is a good MOU. I don't want, say that it gets overturned and we don't have an MOU and they can start, and then we're really negotiating from a very weak position, to be frank. So I don't want to do that. I'd rather be where we're on even footing, talking to each other, and getting the best deal for both the tribe and for the county. So I'm glad that this is coming forward right now. So thank you, and I think that's where it needs to be at. Max?
Mr. Chair.
No, just a minute. Max speaking, and then I'll give it to you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Your line. The cooperation between the tribe and the county has been outstanding for many, many years. It's kind of frustrated that we can't move forward due to the courts getting involved. But getting to the fact, we have so much unemployment here in Madera County. That's what we're doing is with this MOU and also with the amendments to the MOU. I think it's correct that we try to protect the workforce in Madera County. But I think you've said it all. You guys have said it all along that you're willing to cooperate to do the best we can. We have a good working relationship, and I think you guys are going to do the best you can to implement that provision as far as the hiring of local people as much as you can. And I'll repeat myself, I guess, years back, year after year, it's frustrating that we can't, this casino hasn't been built yet, but it will be built within the next year or two, whatever. And the people keep asking me, when is it going to be built? So I'll tell you what, when that shovel is turned over, you're going to see a lot of people in the community applauding you guys and applauding the county. And I think we should be grateful for that. But let's keep working. Let's get this thing done. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Dave?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I do agree with Brett on that. And that's why I said earlier I'm not opposed to having the MOU. I'm just, I'm concerned about covering all our bases and making sure. And then, of course, I want to state, too, that much of the opposition is not coming from outside, it's coming from inside the county. And we have a number of people, several lawsuits that have been fired, that have been put out, and the plaintiffs are residents of Madera County. So, this is not all kumbaya here. And I want to state that it was defeated in Madera County as well as the state. So, I just look forward to having this issue settled one way or another, and whatever way it's decided, I will I capitulate with the law and I comply with the will of the people. So I just hope the will of the people is done here. And I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else from the board? I'd like to make since no one else has anything to say from the board, open it up to the public. Bring it back to the board.
You got
just. I just, since I've worked with this group since 2004, when it first was over at the other courthouse, they have done nothing but stand up position on everything that they've done. They've done things in reverse that no other tribe in California has done. They have made it their personal goal to use everybody that they can and donate when they can, if they have money, to different organizations in Madera County already. And it's just been an outstanding relationship. It is just too bad we have a group like we did in the Riverside group that we had that had enough money to get signatures to put this on a proposition, which they paid over $5 per signature on Prop 1 to get this on those signatures, and half the people in California and Riverside didn't even know what the hell they were signing, just like almost all the props that we have in California. But it's really a shame. We have 35% poverty rate in Madera County. 35. We have 59,000 people on social services, some kind of social services. We have 9,600 babies that are getting paid in Madera County under social services. 93638, I know that's Max's area, is one of the most impoverished area in Madera and the nation. And we have groups that are not even in Madera County putting this forward and putting the prop on the ballot that people in California didn't even know what the hell they were voting for. Should have been left up to Madera County. If the other group would have done the honest thing, they would have done it in Madera County. If it would have passed in at that time, and Dave said it did pass in Madera County, but I don't know. But anyway, when we first started with this, and what happens, the opposition just keeps on wanting to drag it out. I think this is just another outstanding issue on the MOU that the tribe and stations are coming up and trying to make it. They don't have to do this, folks. They do not have to do this. After Prop 1, they don't have to do that, and they're doing it anyway. So I really appreciate it, and bring it back to the board for a motion.
Rick, let me clarify that the Proposition 48, I think it was, Proposition 48 was defeated in Madera County as well as the rest of the state, 61%.
Well, you pay for what you get, Dave.
Yeah, when you buy votes like that.
Nonetheless, it was defeated.
Okay, I'm going to make a motion to approve the MOU as we changed it, and then on item number 20, use the first two sentences, and then just add, make reasonable efforts to use local contractors and labor as much and whenever possible, period. I make that motion.
I second that motion with amendments.
We have a first and a second. Call for the vote.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes, again, I get 2 votes today. Yay! All right. Let's get a lot of other stuff on this agenda.
Supervisor Farinelli?
It is my privilege to say yes, and thank you so much for sticking with us. Thank you for sticking with us, and I hope to see it built this, another frivolous lawsuit defeated. Thank you.
Can we have a signing out here and get a picture of
Yes,
everybody?
we have a signing, and I'd like to sign that, and I asked for that, so because I wanted to be part of the signing before I got off the board. council. Okay. Dave still here?
Yep, I'm still here.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Dave. Okay, let's go ahead. 6D, we have 4 supervisors.
6D, County Administration Department, discussion and consideration of entering into an amendment to lease agreement, MCC number 10584-C-2016, with Margaret Jameson as trustee of the Margaret A. Jameson Trust for the lease of the Black Hawk Ranch property.
Mr. Chairman, can we come back to this one? Bill Hader is supposed to present this item, and I'm not sure where he's at.
Is he back to 6E?
6E, Public Health Department, discussion and consideration of approval to appoint Brian Gambo to the position of Office Assistant 2 at E step of salary 135, CB2, 1214, clerical, and to compensate him an additional 10% above the E step in this classification effective January 1st, 2017.
Here you go. We went above the east.
Good morning. Vondo Reynoso, Public Health Director. So Brian Gamble has been in my department for the last 15 months, performing really high-level administrative support both to my office and to one of our grants. He's from Madera. He is highly competent, does amazing work. I have to say that as director, he is probably one of the best hires that we have ever had, that we've ever made. So this is Brian's opportunity to transition from extra help to permanent. And the position that he is being hired into is Office Assistant 2. However, I would like to ask your board for advanced step and additional compensation because I'd like to ask Brian to continue to perform the high level of work that he's been performing, which is payroll, leave balances, confidential HR issues, supporting my office. I think that he is an asset to our Madera family and merits the request.
So those extra things that you're talking about, those are out of class?
Correct.
So that's where he gets the extra 10%?
Correct.
Okay.
Anything else on board? Jack?
You know, she's a head of that division, and she feels this guy's qualified for this position with an additional 10%. I think that we should listen to what her recommendations. I certainly approve it.
She's the boss.
Bring it back to the board.
Move to approve.
Second.
Got a first from Brett, second from Matt. Call for the vote.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Farinelli? Vote passes 5-0.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vaughn.
Thank you, Bob. Okay, is Bill back in
Yes.
place?
There he is.
6D.
6D, County Administration Department, discussion and consideration of entering into an amendment to lease agreement MCC number 10584-C-2016 with Margaret Jameson as trustee of the Margaret A. Jameson Trust for the lease of the Black Hawk Ranch property.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Bill Hader, Madera County Grants and Special Projects. This is a minor amendment to the lease in that the current provisions in the lease require that as of January 1st, the county pay $10,000 a month lease on the property. We're extending the dollar per parcel lease provision that was for the first 6 months of the lease through to July 1. This allows us to complete the Section 106 process and also preserve the state grants that we currently have.
Okay, thank you. Anything from the board? Tom?
Yes. Here's another one of those dog reports, stupid dog reports, and that we're going to start paying today $10,000 a month for the first year and $25,000 per month after December 17th. He actually didn't even read the original contract, and he didn't read the backup on this. It even says it in the backup BOS letter. So it's pretty bad when he does this kind of stuff and really distorts the true facts to the public. it just makes it so hard to, when people start calling me, and I say, well, you don't know all the facts, and he sure don't, because he don't know how to report a correct act. So this is just moving it forward like we've been doing, $1 a year, $1 a month, not $10,000 a month.
Right. Couple zeros, huh?
Yeah, a few zeros wrong there.
Okay, Brett?
It's not a minor amendment if you're Margaret Jameson. I mean, that's
yeah.
So this is. I want to just be clear. This is just extending where it's just $1 a month to finish any work that you need to do with it, right? And
to finish out the Section 106 negotiation process and to acquire the property.
Okay, and then through those Section 106 negotiations, if there's increased things that have to be done based on those negotiations, who pays for that?
Depending on what you mean by increase. If there's an additional studies that have to be done, then those would be covered under the state grants. We have contingency in the state grant for that purpose at this time, and that's in the $60,000 that we currently have, and then we'll be applying again in April.
Can you speak up, Bill, please?
Oh, sorry. There's a provision in the current grant for additional studies if we are required to do them, and then there is also the next cycle of funding that we would apply for to cover the additional studies. We still have the rest of the constraint studies to finish. We have the biology, we have the noise, we have traffic. Those are all still to come.
And say we get to the end of this next 6 months and it gets to another $10,000 a month. When we start having to pay on this lease, at some point we're going to have to pay on it. Where does that money come from?
That county funds. There's the provision in this that we can always back up.
Yeah, I've always been from the very beginning. I don't want to spend any general fund dollars. I'm not even comfortable paying the $6 out of general fund. I'm sure someone will pay that. I just don't want to get into a place where we're starting down a road and that the county is going to be on the hook for. I've said that from the very beginning. And so if this isn't, let's say all the work is not done in the next 6 months, is there a provision to extend it further, or do we just cut bait at that point?
Either or.
Either or.
So there is a provision that can extend it.
I'm sure Mrs. Jameson would accommodate the county, yes.
Okay. Anybody want to pay the $6?
Yeah, I'll pay the first $6.
I'll pay this out of the rest of it.
I would prefer
after January 3rd.
I would actually prefer if that $6 was paid by somebody and not coming out of the general fund. Just to, I know it's small, but it's the
point.
It's just keeping consistent with what we're trying to do and not spend any general fund dollars. So.
Okay.
It's symbolic. It's symbolic.
I'm sure.
I'd like to chime in there if I can.
After January 3rd, I will pay the $6 to keep the lease going for another 6 months.
No, if we pay after January 3rd, does the check have to be in the mail? Is there any...
Backdate it? It might bounce. It might bounce. No checks. Okay. I want to...
I'd like to say something on that.
Okay, Dave, you got something?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I totally agree with Supervisor Frazier on this. I don't want general fund dollars expended, and we've maintained that from the beginning, and it's important.
Yep. Thank you, Dave. Okay, before I go to the public, I want to make sure that the topic that you're going to be talking about would be the lease and what you heard today on this subject. So whether you're for it or not or whatever, that's fine, but on the lease. Thank you. To the public? If there's anybody else that wants to talk, please get in line. You have 3 minutes.
Okay. Manahu, good morning.
Morning.
Joetta Fleek. I live in Madera County. I'm a tribal council member of the North Fork Mono tribe. And pertaining to the lease, I have some questions on the March 1st, 2006 Madera County Board of Supervisor meeting. In which item on the agenda was the Black Hawk Ranch property lease agreement approved on that date?
Bill?
Now we're going back to history.
Well,
Excuse me, if you're referring to an agenda item in 2006, we'd have to go back into our
2016.
Oh, we can just go back into our archives and look at that.
Okay, and that's the, on which item on the agenda was it approved? And if you have that, I'd like a fully executed copy.
Okay.
And I could fill out the paperwork. I've done that. And was a lease required for this grant? Because I know when you fill out a grant, they have all the qualifications and everything. Was a lease actually required for this grant?
I would imagine we would have had to have some kind of interest in the property, whether it be leasehold or deed, correct?
Purpose of the lease is so that we have control of the property. As far as the grant's concerned, we have to have control of the property.
But it wasn't stipulated in the grant that you had to have the lease?
You have to have control of the property, whether it be
Yeah.
leasehold or deed. So I think that.
Okay. And then why was it a 25-year lease?
What was that again? I didn't hear it.
Why was it a 25-year lease?
That's required by the state.
Are you sure? Because I looked through a lot of research, and
Okay.
I didn't realize it had to. I'll have to look again. And is all or part of the Black Hawk property under the Williamson Act? None of it's under?
To my knowledge, none of it is under Williamson Act.
Because if you pull it up by the APN number, it says that it's.
Can't hear you.
If you pull it up by the APN number, it says that it's agricultural, and that would be under the California Land Conservation Act of 1965, which is the Williamson Act.
Not all agricultural land has to be in the Williamson Act.
No.
You have to-
No, but if you look at
it's
the
just
way
ag.
it's stated.
It's ag zone. That's all. It doesn't mean it's in. It does not say on the APN numbers what if it's Williamson Act or not.
Okay, I'll look at that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And we'll find that information for you.
My name is Bart Topping, live at 50998 Road T10, O'Neill's. And I just have a handout for you today, if I may.
Thank you.
What it is a letter from attorney for the Native American Heritage Commission for the state of California, describing what will need to take place in projects for the Madera County. And I thank Mr. Rogers for bringing that subject up today. It not only applies to this, but it'll apply to other county projects. So all I want to say is it's going to be a long and lengthy process. It's going to take years, and probably the $10,000 and the $25,000 a month is going to kick in before it's over. So you need to consider that. I would suggest that you table this item. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, supervisors. My name is Stephen Love, and I reside at 28725 Highway 41. I'm an adjacent property owner. And I have to be honest, I have never in my life seen something like this. It seems like it's so secretive. Supervisor Wheeler, when you say this is a dog report, is it not true that it will go to 10 and then to 25? Is that in a lease?
Well, it was supposed to start this in January. We extended it, and the property owner agreed. So he's saying it started on January 1st, and it don't start until June. But we can still, if we don't have it settled with the state and the feds, we can ask the property owners to extend it again. So I don't think there's nobody on this board is going to vote to give her $10,000 a month.
Well, I hope not, because I get $14 an acre per year, and I have 2,200 acres. So if you guys want to pay $10,000 an acre to me, I'm in.
Do you want to put an OHV park there?
So again, and I want to know what your mission is. Okay, what is the mission for this property? Again, I ask everybody, and nobody really knows. Tell me what it is. What's the mission? We don't know?
To have an OHV park for the citizens in Madera County that wants one.
So
not everybody is against it.
No, I understand not everybody's against it, but all I'm saying, are we going to be responsible? My money that I go through taxes are going to be responsible to pay for this thing? Okay, I asked what your mission is. Let me ask this. Do you know another government-run business that is successful? Have you?
Madera County.
That's not really a business.
I think it's a business. I consider this a business.
But I mean, this is an entity. You know, I read a great article, Texas A&M, about governance. And
you have 45 seconds. Thank you.
Okay. Well, okay. I believe you should table this too. I don't think you guys have enough information. And if you do pass it, I'd like you to pass it with the recommendation that for any of the studies, none of this comes out of our money. Okay? This doesn't. If the other people want to pay for it, fine. But going back to sports analogy.
So he's got 17 more seconds.
We'll let him finish.
I'd like to answer the gentleman's question.
Hey, Dave, let him finish, please.
Yeah.
Okay. Going back to a good sports analysis in this article I read, as supervisors in government, you guys are supposed to be the coaches and referees. Okay? You don't catch passes. You don't kick field goals. You help us. And so I see this thing going towards a business in Madera County, and if you put that to the people, there is no way they're going to vote for that. So
thank you.
Thank you.
Chief?
Thank you.
Yeah, I want to answer the gentleman's question. Number one, the mission is to facilitate sports in Madera County. That's part of our. We did a study that showed us that there was interest that was great in having this type of an activity in our region. We also, it's financed with green sticker money from the state and for monies that are dedicated to these type of trail riding experiences that are paid for by fees that are paid from OHV riders. We have no intention of operating a business from the county level. We plan on removing the roadblocks to private industry, which will take this over and make it successful. And it'll be an economic interest to the entire county. It'll benefit the entire county and benefit the residents in recreational facilities that are accrued as a result of this. So we have no intention of running a business. We're running our business well, and our report card is we're getting high marks for removing roadblocks and cutting red tape and making sure that we do our job as a county to remove the roadblocks from people who want to do this kind of business. So that's where it's at. And as Tom said, there are many people who support this. We're hearing from those who don't support it. We've also heard a lot from those who do.
And can I answer you on that mission? The mission is to provide an environmentally friendly and family-oriented outdoor recreation venue offering year-round vehicular, pedestrian, and camping facilities in a well-managed and sustainable setting.
Well said, thank you.
And that's our mission when we first started this.
And so my question to you is, I can be assured that none of my taxpayer money is going to go for any of this. It's going to be supported outside.
Unless you pay green sticker tax.
Okay.
And that's been my point from the very beginning. That's why I even don't want to pay the $6 for the next 6 months. Is I don't want a penny of our taxpayer dollars going to it.
He says that every time.
Every single time. And I'm absolutely 100% on board with you on that. I don't want, if this is something that people that want to recreate like that want, they're paying it through their green sticker money. If you don't want it, you shouldn't have to be paying for it. So I absolutely agree with you 100% on that. And I have one question, because it was brought up about tabling this item. If we table this item, our lease agreement would be in effect, and we would have to pay $10,000 a month starting January 1st. Is that correct?
That's correct, Supervisor.
And that would come out of general fund dollars. Is that correct?
I'll defer to admin for that, but yes. Okay. Yeah,
So-
the current lease calls for the $10,000 monthly payments to begin effective January. So this amendment would put that off, basically hold that off for an additional 6-month period.
Okay, so tabling this item, it does. And I've not been the person charging up this hill. That puts your tax dollars at risk.
Not if you cancel the whole thing.
Not if we cancel the whole thing, and that's the other option.
Great option. I like that. Thank you.
Thank you, Brett.
Okay. Can I read the goal that we got to for this? Sure. It says the goal is to provide a facility at no net cost to the taxpayers that offers an easily acceptable location for affordable recreation activities to the residents of Madera County and all the Central California.
Thank you, Tom. Bill? Oh. Okay, is anybody else going to speak? If they are, please get in line. Thank you.
My name's Sandy Myers, and I am from Raymond, California, 33497 Road 600. And I'm kind of coming in on the end of this thing, so I just want to get this straight. None of our tax money, my tax money, and by the way, Madera County their business of Madera County is run by my money and their money. So your business is their business. And let me get this straight. I know I have only 3 minutes. So to put this park in there, get it going, do all the work that has to be in this park, none of the money will come from Madera County. Is that correct?
Well, it's if you pay the red and green sticker tags, it will be. I pay. I got 4 vehicles, and I have to pay that every year. But it comes from
your sales
Madera
tax,
County.
not your property tax.
Comes from green sticker.
Not from our
and
property
red sticker.
taxes or nothing like that.
Okay. So, but if you do pay it, your money, if you do pay it, the Madera County green ticket will come from that, right? That tax money will come.
The money's
from that,
coming
right?
from those grants.
And what about the pollution? We're always after the pollution. What about the pollution all of this is going to do for Madera County? All the motorcycles, the off-road. All we ever hear is about pollution, how I can't burn my wood stove because of the pollution. Has that been looked at? Is there a plan to see how much revenue this will actually give back to Madera County? Is there a plan for this?
That's our hope. When we get to that point, we can let the public know.
We have to get past all this, what we're talking about, the last meeting, not the lease, which we are talking about today is the lease and extending it. But we have to get through all the process before we even consider that. This is a long, drawn-out process, just like the other gentleman said, just like anything else of building a factory out here in Madera. We've got to follow all the rules and everything else.
So you would go ahead and lease this land without any kind of plan about how much revenue would be brought in and everything. And you know, my biggest gripe about all this is that I lost my homeowner's insurance. And do you know why? Because Madera County cannot put money into any CAL FIRE stations. We don't have enough sheriffs. We have a Forest Service up there with tons of off-road for motorcycles, off-road vehicles. But Madera County wants to build a park. You want a park there for off-road motorcycles. You have a whole Forest Service for this, and I know that a lot of people go up there. So I just can't figure out the sense of all of this, the sense of what Madera County is doing again. You know,
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to say that, you know, the fact is that we can't use those monies for fire and sheriff, and they're not designated for that purpose. These have to be spent for this specific purpose. So if we could get a grant from green sticker money to do that, we would do that first. That would be the first thing we would do. But we can't do that. So your point is moot. We cannot spend these dollars for fire and sheriff. So I don't understand your point. There is no point.
Okay, what's the revenue? What are you going to do with the revenue from the park, if you do make revenue?
That is yet to be decided. That would be general fund money at that point.
General fund money? So you have no plan for the general fund money, which I know...
We don't have any money yet. How are we going to make plans on money we don't have?
But you're making a plan to lease land without a plan. That does not even make sense to me.
There is no general fund money being spent to lease.
But it's still going back to putting money into Madera County. Isn't that correct?
What are you against? Spending green sticker money that is specifically for this purpose to lease this land and get this project going? What are you against? There's no general fund money being spent here.
Okay.
There's no money that can be diverted to police and fire. So your point is moot. You're not making a good argument here.
But my argument is, is this money going back into the general fund after when you start making revenue?
Okay, thank you. We're getting off the subject, and thank you, and your 3 minutes are up, and thank you very much. Okay. Anybody else from the public? Yes. Go ahead, Bill.
I'm sorry, just as a quick, if money comes in through economic development, through businesses, I would assume that it would be spent in the same manner with a percentage of it going towards public safety as well as other areas. So because we haven't quantified yet what the economic impact would be to the local businesses, the gas stations filling up the OHV vehicles. I think what Supervisor Rogers was trying to say is that we don't know how much that is and where we could put that just yet, but there would be mitigation through the long term. Is that correct?
Bill?
Absolutely.
Bill?
I just want to add a quick caveat here. The state planning money that comes in from the Green Sticker program requires that you have control over the property, and yes, it does say 25 years because they're anticipating you're going to develop it. If we look at what we tried to do at Manzanita Lake, where it didn't pan out, all bets are off. You're not on the hook because you're using the money to see if the project is feasible or not. And part of that would be development of the business plan. And once you've got a trail system designed and all the amenities that go with it, is it going to generate money? How much are you going to charge to go through the gate? Those are all things that come with it. Once you've declared a project, we're not there yet. And again, just because we said we'd do it for 25 years, if the planning says no, you're off the hook.
Right. Okay. Back to the board.
Let's see. I move we approve item 6D.
Second.
Have a first from Tom, second from Dave. Call for the vote.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Farinelli?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
6-7.
Wait, was that with making sure that somebody else would pay that $6. I want to have that in there.
Okay, I'll amend that, David, to put in there that someone else will pay the $6 a month, and I'll make a check for all of it.
Okay.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers? Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Farinelli?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
6F.
6F, Office of Information Technology Department Security Appliance. 1, presentation and discussion of Madera County Criminal Justice Information Security. 2, discussion and consideration of approval to purchase a firewall for the Sheriff's Department in the amount of $46,500. 3, discussion and consideration of approval of receipt of unanticipated revenue number 16-170 in the amount of $46,500 derived from the Reserve for Information Technology System Replacement to Information Technology Maintenance of Equipment Software, Maintenance Modification and Equipment Furniture greater than $5,000 for fiscal year 2016-2017.
6F.
Good morning, Chairman of the Board, board members. Sheriff Farney, Tanya Say, CIO, and Sheriff Farney will also be joining me for this presentation.
Okay.
So, we wanted to provide some information on a recent, we had a few technical difficulties here. We wanted to provide a presentation on a recent CLETS audit and information security in regards to the criminal justice agencies that we have in our county. So we were going to provide CLETS background, and we were going to provide information on the CLETS access that was audited by the Department of Justice. Lessons learned through the audit process, a project status update with our immediate needs, and also address our future needs. Let me get back on track here. Okay. Sheriff Farney will provide some information on what CLETS even is and why the importance of it to the County of Madera.
Good morning again, board members. CLETS is the California Law Enforcement Telecommunications System. It's basically how we run people. When you go on a ride-along or listen to the radio, you hear us running people for warrants, running them for their driver's license status. It's also how the District Attorney's Office, the Department of Corrections and Probation keeps track of people's criminal histories and runs people themselves. There are tests that we have to take as individuals to be allowed either full access or partial access to the system. So what we're here to talk to you about today is an audit of the physical connectivity between where the data is at the DOJ and what kind of system it passes through. And the Department of Justice is pretty strict about what you can and can't do. Basically, they offer suggestions of how to fix it, not specifics, because I think they're concerned that if they gave you an absolute prescriptive, you will do this and this and this and this, then if something happened to the data, then they would feel like they would be liable. So what they tell you is where you're deficient. As Tanya goes through the presentation here, you'll see in the original audit, which actually now was more than a year ago, there was 15 areas of concern, some of which we have solved on our own, but some of which we're here today to ask you for some funding so that we can get going on the others and get our remediations approved by the Department of Justice.
Okay. And as Sheriff Farney said, yes, there were 15 items that were challenges, opportunities for us to improve with the Department of Justice, and 3 of which were resolved immediately internally by Madera County Sheriff's Office, and 10 required new policy and procedures, and then the remaining 10 were consolidated into 2 areas of technology that we needed to replace. One of the good things that came out of this whole process was that the Sheriff's Office and IT developed a partnership. Lieutenant Majeski for Sheriff Farney and Brian Rohde, our infrastructure manager, have developed a good working relationship in which now we're starting to be able to address these issues together. So a good thing came out of that process. Sheriff Arney already went over what some of the data was. Here's some example of it, of what CJIS data technically is. One of the biggest challenges is that when you hear about CLETS information, if a department, say, sheriff or DA's office accesses the information, they pull something up on CLETS, and then they add it to their system, whatever case management system they have, I believe it's Damien. Once they add it to their system, then that technically becomes criminal justice agency information, and therefore it has to be secured as criminal justice information has to be secured. The commingled data policy. Where we're at on the project, Sheriff Arney had said we were still in an approval status. We've been told we're not exactly going to get an approval. We have to kind of design what we're going to do and then hope that it is meeting the requirements of the Department of Justice. We're pretty sure that we're going to be on the right track here. Right now, we're working on developing a committee to, I believe Lieutenant Majewski has made some great progress in this area and getting all of our ducks in a row in terms of all the paperwork and the user agreements. And we also did the county, your board approved the county audit in the beginning of this year, 2016. And so we were also able to see what other types of information that we have out in the county and other departments. So our immediate need is a security remediation appliance. And so that's going to be a firewall for $46,500. That's actually on the agenda to vote on today. What we really wanted to provide with you, though, was that there's going to be another item coming in early 2017 for the second area of technology that we needed some compliance on. We're gathering our information on that. And so we wanted to let you know that that was coming. More than anything, what we wanted to make sure that the board knew was that, as Sheriff Arney has said, the Department of Justice is probably not going to go away, as well as many of the other federal agencies where we receive information. So what we're trying to do with the county is we're trying to take an approach where we are going to, myself, Sheriff Arney, we've already met with the admin office, and we're trying to develop see what we can do to work to secure funding and look at this as a county-wide approach, because all of the different agencies, the human services agencies, are receiving information from Social Security, from the IRS, and all of those have specific requirements as well. So we're trying to consolidate everything and look for where anything overlaps, and so that we can develop those economies of scale.
I don't know if you have any additional questions about that, but if you've had any dealings with something that's controlled by the state and by the feds, they can be very particular in what they do, right down to how you secure the machines in the car or if they're secured in the car. So we're dealing with some pretty stringent requirements that perhaps haven't been dealt with by the county in the past. And as Tanya mentioned, we're trying to make this to where what we're doing will actually have benefits to the other departments in terms of them securing their data. So if you don't have any other questions, that's the extent of our presentation.
Thank you. Anything from the board?
No.
The only thing that I have is probably after January 20th, a lot of other things will be changing too for security. So
yeah, and as Tanya mentioned, so there's certain things right now that the technology exists for us to do. Like I could look at the CAD calls from our CAD system right now on this, but there's certain things that have to be in place for that to actually happen and for the data to be secure, and those aren't in place yet. And this is actually the very first step in making sure that that's what we do. And the real key to things like, I mean, wouldn't it be nice to know that there was a crazy person a block away if there was a CAD call waiting while we're sitting here? Or as I travel through the county, if it's not on the radio, I don't know that it's happening. So there's just a lot of things that both in terms of hardware, software, and personnel that we're going to need to do to bring the IT side of Madera County up to where many of the other things are operating. You got a lot of high-powered employees here that need the tools in the field with them, whether it's us or code enforcement or DSS or whoever, probation. And this is just kind of the first step in making sure that we're doing things both right for the employees and then right for the county in terms of safeguarding the data.
In this day and age of instant communication and being able to have those tools, we should never not be able to respond to something or hinder ourselves because we don't have the technology to do it. The technology's out there. It's much less expensive than it used to be. So we should never miss out on an opportunity to stop a crime because we're not able to communicate with each other. We're not able to share that information immediately. So I think this is a great first step.
And that is exactly what you just said. Is exactly what the goal is that what we're finding is that there's easy things maybe from a technology standpoint to do. However, since we don't have the infrastructure in place, we would be out of compliance with Department of Justice guidelines, and we no longer want to say, oh, we can't do that because of the requirements. We want to be ahead of the requirements, understand what the requirements are, have the security in place, the technology security in place, so that when Barney calls up and says, hey, I want this to go to my cell phone, I want this information to go to my cell phone, this is a safety issue for my officers, DA staff, whoever, we want to be able to quickly be able to deploy that, not say, oh, well, because of Department of Justice, we have to go back and recreate the wheel.
Tanya, thank you for continually making us look like we were very intelligent in appointing you interim.
I was going to second that already. Right? You beat me to it.
you make us look good, and looking at these things and not just saying, okay, these are where we're hindered, but saying, okay, we're not going to just keep on making that excuse. And that's always been an excuse here is, well, we can't because of this. And then that's the end of the conversation. Well, that should be the start of the conversation. I think that's where you always pick things up is, tell me my limitations and how do I get over those? And, I mean, again, if we could clone you and put you all over, we'd be...
My staff wants nothing more than to be able to deliver these for the sheriff's office. But also, they don't want to break any laws and not be in compliance. So they want nothing more than to be able to do that.
But I just wanted to take that opportunity to thank you and for that. So
it's good. I mean, you just
on the board.
Yeah, you just said the sheriff's office, Tanya. You've done it for all departments. It's nice to have that cooperation that all these other departments now know that you're there to help them, not to hinder them. And that's so important. It's just like when the public comes here for whatever reason, whether it's permit or pay their bill to Tracy, they get that friendly smile and say, how can we help you? And it's just so nice.
Yep. Anything from the public? Back to the board.
Move to approve.
Second.
Have a first from Brett, second from Max. Call for the vote.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
I'm sorry, the second was from Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Farinelli?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
6G.
Keep us safe.
6G, Public Works Department Administration Division, proposed interim financing for the road fund. 1, discussion and consideration of approval of transfer of appropriations number 16-171 in the amount of $350,000 from roads mitigation fees appropriation for contingency to roads mitigation fees cash flow loan. 4 votes required. 2, discussion and consideration of approval of receipt of unanticipated revenue number 16-172 in the amount of $550,000 derived from the roads mitigation fees to be appropriated to roads administration cash flow payback. 4 votes required.
Thank you, Chairman, members of the board. Norman Allender here with Ahmad Al-Kayat, our Public Works Director. I just wanted to set this up to do a little bit of quick math. You see a request to transfer $350,000, but budget $550,000. That's because $200,000 was already in that account. So that's not an error. It's in the staff report. I just wanted to point out to Monty Pistoresi and those at home who are looking at it. I'll turn it over to Ahmad Al-Kayat, but the reason why this is happening in part is because of slow reimbursements that have taken time to happen, and also, as many of you know, the declining amount of road funds that come in through that. And so when we look to the future, this revenue model we've had for some time with gas taxes is unsustainable, and that's a function of this. So, Ahmad?
Thank you, Norm. Ahmad Al-Kayat, good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Norm, I mean, you said basically everything that I wanted to say. How we are receiving less funds from the highway user tax. And also, just doing a quick review, on the department the past year, we have found some errors and some untimely submission of reimbursements for either state or MCTC funds that are waiting for us there to come. We did do the best we can in the recent couple months. We are expecting good amounts of money coming from Caltrans and also from MCTC. It's just that it did not hit our books yet, and we are at this. That's why we're requesting just a temporary loan for the road fund, and I'm here to answer any questions you have.
Tom?
Yeah, I just gladly do this. I mean, I know what's happening with the state and the feds and our road funds, and all the stuff we've had to do with the tree mortality up there that our crew has been working on. But everybody that wasn't on here in 07, 08, somewhere in that range when we were going under, we borrowed $4 million from the road department to get us over the hump. And to loan them this little bit compared to what they loaned us to get us over that hump, no big deal, I tell you, because this money that's guaranteed is coming in anyway. So that's the way we guaranteed our $4 million that we paid them back, right, Eric? I just want everybody to remember that. So what goes around comes around.
Yep. Brett? A couple questions. One, how much are we expecting from MCTC?
So the MCTC funds we're talking about are going back to 2010.
That was the next question.
Yeah, those are that's back from 2010 that we discovered that we weren't submitting the amounts to be reimbursed for that program. So we've identified that, we've captured it, we've taken the corrective action internally as to make sure we don't do that in the future. And so also the outstandings from the state, I just wanted to mention it's in the backup as well. The state, just in pure highway users tax and road funds and the gas tax, is over $2 million in outstanding right now. So we do have stuff coming in. We have status reports on it, yes.
When should that be coming in?
I mean, the first amount I can tell you has already been sent to print. I mean, they have their own process. When they say they send a check to print, it's not like Todd Miller does a check to print. So
they're catching it out. Each bureaucrat has to put one.
Prime example, it took us 4 months to get some state dollars to pay for a project up there for doing the log deck. And the contractor's about to go under, because we could not get that money from them. So it's just when they don't do this just because they get a bill. They do it when they damn well please.
What do you say, Norm? In the private sector, it's if you get paid. With the public sector, it's when you get paid?
Yeah, that's the thing, yeah. In the public sector, it's when you get paid. The government will eventually pay you, but it won't be on your schedule.
Yeah.
Right.
So then how exactly are we ensuring that if it's going to take long to get the money, how are we ensuring that we send them the proper notice for reimbursement for these things so that we're not going back? I don't want future boards of supervisors having to say, well, back when Fraser was in there, they weren't even sending bills in 2016. So how do we ensure that we
actually be truthful?
Do this? Huh?
So let me just point out, as delicate as I have, the people who were tasked with doing such things are no longer with us. And so they have been replaced by new management. One moved on, and one, quite frankly, was replaced because the job wasn't being done correctly. So we have made changes, and people have been reassigned because tasks weren't being done. So, yes, we are absolutely making sure that personally, I and Ahmad and them, we look at this. And Andrea, the reason why we found the $2010 was we started in digging and looking backwards, the fact that we were able to go back to 2010. Well, what are we doing? We are on top of everything and making sure we're doing doing it, and anytime we find that things aren't being done, we take corrective action internally. I can tell you on the third floor, some jobs got reassigned, some people moved desks, some people actually left the organization because things just didn't work out.
So let's assume that everybody in this room is gone, including me.
Mm-hmm.
How do we make sure that in the future there's some kind of safeguard that always we're up to date? Can it pop up in rodeo? How do we do that? That
you got the rodeo
people
down, right?
Can we create a process is what I'm
Yes, sir, we can. I love that you call it rodeo, but yeah, we can set it up in posse. We can make reminders, but essentially...
That was the one prior.
The one prior.
If we can work in rodeo, it can work in posse. Right?
Well, and let me just update you on a meeting we had yesterday with the auditor's office on the very topic of reimbursements. The county, in its past practices, in some ways, had a practice of certain places not requesting reimbursement until the end of the fiscal year, which, as you know, is a bit of a problem. So one thing we've changed process-wise, we've immediately instituted what we want to go to a minimum of reimbursing quarterly, and once we get a handle on it better, we should be reimbursing monthly if we can, right? And so we have changed that process. We've worked with the auditor's office about that, and absolutely there are reminders that can be put in and will be put in. This wasn't an issue of a person, maybe that an invoice came in and it sat on someone's desk. This was a program that the staff in charge at the time wasn't even paying attention to, is what I'm saying, right?
I don't want to inverse your saying where it's in the private sector is when you get billed, and in the public sector is if you get billed.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Well, and no, I agree totally. It's inexcusable for us not to claim reimbursement for something. It's not appropriate. Yes.
Thank you. That's all my question. Matt?
So, Norman, what you're saying is some of the people that were in charge of reimbursement documentation were not doing their job right. And since you took over, you've been working on that problem, and you're seeing that a lot of the money that the state owes us, actually the state, is coming through now, so we have excess money. Is that what happened with that money that we discovered, $20 million some years ago?
So here's my thought on it, right? What happens is when people are challenged and they're put in their desk and they're told to do X and Y and Z, they never think to look at W or V. Because they've never been asked to look at it. And so when a person is just not given an employee an opportunity, they're not empowered to say, how can you make this better? And so when you don't do that, and when you have people that are trained and are conditioned just to push paper and the same piece of paper over and over, that's the situation that creates that, where you're not empowering your people or listening to your people to say, what could we do to be more efficient? What could we do to bring in more revenue? That needs to be the business model of certainly all of the departments which I oversee, and I try to put the point out there, is that you've got to make a payroll every month, and you've got to look at this stuff. And if you have dollars that should be coming in, I mean, that's not right that we're overlooking it. So it's really about letting the employees expand their duties and do their jobs correctly.
It could be that could we say we're shorthanded as far as staff?
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that this was a function. I say it was more of a function of management and less of a function of manpower. We had plenty of people.
Failure of the top people not implementing some of these programs, right? That's what it is.
Or allowing
failure.
Or allowing this. I wouldn't use that term, but it's not allowing the staff to express their ideas and to broaden out and do that. It was something that became systemic over time. That people just sat at their desk and did what they always did and never looked at the world any different. They never took their blinders off, and that's an issue. Yes.
Okay. So what was paying for these? Funds were supposed to be reimbursed from somewhere, so these were funds coming from.
So
work was done.
This compounds. So on one part, it is not realizing you could have reimbursed these funds from 2010, and that's being done. The other part is the dwindling road fund, gas tax dollars that come in. That's what compounds the two things. That gas tax fund and those highway user tax funds were so robust up until the last few years. Were very robust, and I think some of the people whose job it was to look at the funds and make sure reimbursement had it pretty easy. And now that things are tighter, things have become more difficult, we again have to start looking at every source we have to make these things happen, and not just say, well, we've recouped all our dollars for all our work we've done this year, and we don't need to chase other ones. I don't know that that's the way we need to be, because with the reductions that are happening, just in the way that the program has changed, that's going to be the issue in the long run.
Adam, can I jump in here real quick, Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
The problem's going to be compounded even worse because the governor has decided to divert some of those road repair monies, and we need to squawk about that. I don't know if he's reversed that or not, but I sure hope he does, because we're seeing decaying roads, and we've got a situation where Caltrans is overfinanced according to their own LAO. Like $550 million a year, and they're overemployed, and they're over budget on everything. So I really favor the idea of bringing things down to the local level and crunching down on Caltrans a little bit and removing some of that waste. Bring it to the local level where we get the job done, and we need to really squawk about this removal of diversion of funds that are dedicated to roads.
Thanks, Dave. Anybody from the public? Back to the board.
Move we approve item 6G 1 and 2.
Second.
Second.
I have a first from Tom, second from Max.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Farinelli?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
6H.
6H, Public Works Department, Capital Improvement Projects Division. Discussion and consideration of entering into an amendment to MCC number 8511-C-2008 and supplemental agreement with Schmidt Construction, Madera Quarry, Inc. for completion of Road 209 improvements, and authorize the chairman to execute the agreement.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. Jared Carter, Public Works Capital Improvements. The item before you is an amendment to the agreement with originally with Madera Quarry, now Schmidt Construction, regarding the improvements to Road 209 related to the quarry development. This amendment is essentially to clarify and solidify the work that needs to be completed on their part to allow us to accept that improvement. It also outlines the parameters for maintenance of that road moving forward, which is under the original agreement. And I'm available for any questions if you have them.
Tom?
I'm surprised they're not here. I guess they think we're just going to pass this. I like a motion that we deny it. No, I start out right here. How do we know they're going to do this? I mean, look how long it took them to even do what they did, and they didn't do it exactly like they should have done. We've stretched it a little bit here and there for them to do that. Are they paying that 6 cents a year right now? Did they supposed to start in January? How do we know that that's, I mean, how do we know what records we know that that's how much they're shipping?
They have to report that to us when we collect the fees based on the shipping amount. Okay. So we verify that with them. And that, just to clarify, that money that we collect does not go to maintenance on Road 209. That's for other areas of the county. The maintenance of Road 209 is a responsibility of them under the agreement.
They damage on their trucks. Well, they got 90 days by this, right, to do this corrections? I say if they don't do it in that 90 days, maybe it's time to reopen their permit and see what else we can do with that permit to start like we did the other quarry. Can we do that, Norm?
Yes, sir. So in late 2012, early 2013, they violated their conditions and requirements. At that time, we not only issued a citation, which is the normal thing, we issued a cease and desist order, which I can tell you in my over 7 years here, I've done maybe 3 or 4 times. Cease and desist order is a pretty serious thing. Yeah. So they completely disregarded at that time what they needed to do, and we got them back and got them straight and moving. I'm willing to accept the fact that if they don't do it in 90 days, we have the ability to go back before either your body or the Planning Commission on a conditional use permit 0220, 0601. And so we absolutely have the authority through, 18, 06, 030. And then we also have a revocation, 18, 108, 030. So what we could do in the case of revocation, if it reopens their permits and allows the county to place additional conditions on those permits. So if that were the will of the board or the planning commission, or if you wanted to make it a part of the motion, that if this isn't done in 90 days,
I'm going to make it part of it.
So we could do that. So county council could weigh in, but we certainly have the authority. And the reason why I know I'm reading from my cease and desist order from 2013 that Mr. Trieber and I put together. So we outlined then at that time, if you don't come into compliance, we have the authority to initiate revocation. At the revocation process, essentially, you could revoke it, or you could just say, we're not going to revoke it, but we're going to put new requirements on you because you don't seem to have the ability to meet your requirements. So that would be at the discretion of the board, yes.
Because they really
Norm, don't they have an application before us for expansion?
Yes, sir. So there is, and Mr. Trieber's here, there was an application filed during the processing of the last quarry. They came in, and Mr. Trieber can give you some details on that.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Madera Quarry does have an application for expansion of their operation to go to a 3 million ton quarry operation. We've submitted a letter to them requesting a number of items as a part of their application package. They've yet to get that to us. I don't have the specific date. It was approximately 6 to 9 months ago that they submitted that expansion application.
I remember when they did.
Yeah, I would suggest as part of the process that we let them know that no expansion will be granted until they're in compliance.
Well, they got 90 days by what we're offering today, Dave.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, well, I guess that takes care of it.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else from the board? Out to the public? Back to the board.
I move that we approve item 6H with the 90-day condition, and if they're not completed by that 90 days, that we initiate the reopening of their permit they have right now, and with all the other garble that you told me about.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. So staff would go through the process of initiating that, giving out the public notice and all that stuff.
Okay, David, second.
Thank you, Counsel.
From Tom and a second from Dave.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Farinelli?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Thank you. 6I.
6I, Assessors Department. Discussion and consideration of approval of an ordinance amending Chapter 3.05 of Madera County Code to create a fee for appeals for non-owner occupied parcels and to modify the existing fee for findings of fact.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Gary Svanda, Madera County Assessor. What you see before you is the culmination of work that was completed by County Council and myself in concert with our first meeting with the board regarding the fees and your wishes regarding our recovery of the expense for preparing our defense of our appeals. I think what it reflects is the fair and equitable way of handling this, with some discretion given to our office to help mitigate situations where the not waiving, but the minimalizing of the fees are reasonable and fair. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have regarding the item, but it is my recommendation that we pass the ordinance.
Thanks. I looked at it last night, and you got it in there that we will recover our costs. That's the main language. I want it in there because it's really important that we do that with every other, no matter what it is, citizen, department, or what have you. And it's in there, and I think it's real clear the way you guys wrote it up, so I'm happy with that. So,
very good. County Council did an outstanding job.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Anybody else from the board? Any from the public? Back to the board. Move to approve.
Second.
Okay. Brett first, Tom second. Call for the vote.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Farinelli?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Thank you, Gary, for getting that done, because it's been a lot of headache for a lot of people.
For a long time.
For a long time.
Thanks, Gary.
Good man.
Good work, Gary.
Okay, number 8, any pending legislation? Seeing
Yeah.
none?
How about a New Year's Eve resolution?
New Year's Eve resolution?
Yeah.
Is that which one?
I don't know. You want to make one?
Okay. Any supervisor reports?
I need to report that I attended RCRC.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else?
Nothing to report.
Okay. Number 10.
Number 10, Chairman's farewell and presentation.
What, we want to go outside and do that?
I don't care.
Let's do it where everybody's out there.
They've been waiting there for a long time.
Got people out there.
Yeah.
Do we adjourn the meeting, Chairman?
Yes.
We adjourn the meeting.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Yep.
So moved. Thank you.
Congratulations, Rick.
Thanks, Dave.
You bet.
You can come and join us.
Yeah.